again. Thank you for taking your time joining us here for our session number 6 now for our dedicated locator member Q&A. This time around, we did mix both type of infrastructure owners. So we have municipal members and also the regular underground infrastructure owners all in one Q&A session, to see if we can gather conversations together all in all. Before we get going here, I just wanted to ensure that on your teams, on your current teams right now, what you see on the top right hand, you should see a Q&A section, a Q&A button where you can type in at the end of the session here. You can either unmute yourself, ask the questions you may have, or type it into that Q&A section. So just ensure that you have that access in there. Let us know throughout the presentation if should you have any issues or anything like that, or if you don't see that, just flag one of our team members here. So I'll get started here. Let's get it. Okay, so just to do a little bit something different this time around, I'm pretty sure everyone here may have heard Kahoot. We'll do a bit of a game here, just to get a bit of a knowledge. So kind of an icebreaker here. So at the moment right now, what you see on your screen is Kahoot. If you either type it into your web browser, kahoot.it, and it gets into your web page, and then you would put in this pin number 4377618. It'll direct you to our Kahoot game. Or for those who are on a mobile or you have your mobile in front of you, you can scan the QR code, and then from there it will log you in directly to the game. So I'll give it about a minute or so. Let's see if we can get some people in there. Great. So I see a couple of people joining in already, so I'll give it a bit more time. Get a bit more representations there. Okay. Oh, I think I started the game a little bit prematurely there, but the first question is, what is a dedicated locator? So on your screen there. Okay, great. We'll move on to our next question. Okay, number 2. Dedicated locator is a good solution for what type of project? Okay, 7, 5. Okay, the right answer there is projects that are large and long-term with complicated requirements. So we got our leaderboard jumping up. Next question is, what are the benefits of a dedicated locator? Okay, the right answer is all of the above. So the benefits of dedicated locator, once again, improves productivity, reduce downtime, prevent damages, promote safe excavation practices, gain more control of your project. Going to the next question here. All right, we're moving way up. What is a DLSP? That's right. The answer for that is dedicated locate service provider. Right. Braden's still leading the leaderboard there. Who is eligible to use a dedicated locator program? All right. The right answer here is all of the above. Designated broadband project, as per the legislature, a designated broadband project. A DIC project for that a project owner chooses to use a dedicated locator, and a DIC project that satisfies the criteria as prescribed by the minister. So the right answer here is all of the above. What is a project owner? All right, the right answer here is the party who intends to carry out the excavation or dig project. All right. Before we get into the next question here, I know I prematurely started the game, but if you want to join in halfway through, we do have the link at the bottom here. You see kahoot.it. Game pin number is 4377618. So I'll give it about 30 seconds before we jump into the next one. Maybe whoever else wants to join right in to the game right now. Okay, let's see if we can move on. Hopefully you guys are able to join us now. Question number 7. When do you submit a dedicated locator request notice on the Tier 1 call? Okay, the right answer here is 90 days prior to your project start date. So as per the legislation, we do have we do request a 90-day notice prior to your start dig date or your projected start dig date of your project. Okay, what does an infrastructure owner need to do within the initial 10 business days of receiving a DL 90-day notice? Okay, the right answer is must agree in writing with a project owner on a DLSP. And we can speak of this later on to our Q&A if you have any questions towards this. Okay, true or false? Is it a requirement under the Onus Act for an infrastructure owner to have a contractual agreement with a DLSP? Okay. That's an interesting one there. It is false. It is not required under the legislation. It is a recommendation, although, to have some sort of a contractual agreement with the DLSP dealing with, obviously you are providing them the records mapping and such. So an MSA or some sort of agreement towards the act of them locating your infrastructure, just stipulating that would be great to have. It is a recommendation, not a requirement. So who is responsible for the fees associated to the dedicated locator program? Perfect. So everyone got the right answer here, the project owner. Okay, infrastructure owners can view DL requests in the web portal to see if a suppression has been applied. True or false? Okay, the answer is true. We do have the access there for as a member. You can log in to your web portal, and there is a documentation that we can provide to those members to reverse look up DL projects that are within the affected areas or your affected servicing areas. So if you'd like to learn more, reach over to our team. We can provide you that documentation in regards of this. But seems like everyone pretty much got the information right on that. Okay. Last but not the least, how many days does a DLSP have to complete a locate? Okay, that is correct. It is 10 business day as per the legislation. But obviously, a dedicated locator service provider should be working hand in hand with the authorized contractor or subcontractor of the project or the project owner to ensure that locates are completed to when and where and when it's needed by the project owner or based on their schedule. So really, for say that 10 business days is just per, what is stipulated in there. They do have that timeline to work with the locate, but with working directly hand in hand schedule with the DLSP and the project owner, that shouldn't really fall in place at that point. Great. So let's look at our top three. On the top three is Angelica, two is MP, and our first one here is nickname. So for the, for the person that had nickname, please put in your name on the chat so we do know who you are. And thank you for joining this game. Okay, we'll continue on with our Q&A here. It's our first time around doing that Kahoot, so my apologies for starting it early. Maybe next time around I'll try something different here, or it's just a good icebreaker at this point here. But we'll go on with the remaining of the Q&A. We'll start off with a couple of project updates, and from there we'll just open up the floor for the Q&A for the remainder of the afternoon here. Okay. So with project updates, what we have here, what we're seeing is the currently happenings on the left-hand side again. Over the past few months, what we've seen is several more coming into the active projects. So we've seen community network partners, one of the new ones that have come through. Intus Network Solutions are a few to highlight that have started the dedicated locator model and have succeeded with their DLSP. On the right-hand side here, we have the imminent, so we are still working with Eastlink and YorkNet, and the upcomings are the ones that we are still continuously having conversations in regards to about setting them up in terms of dedicated locator. So for active DLSP, there's quite a bit of a changes that we've seen here. What I want to highlight is that now on the left-hand side, we do have almost an equal amount from, a LAC LSP becoming a DLSP to a non-LAC LSP becoming a DLSP. That number has evened out throughout, becoming a DLSP on the left-hand side. So that is great to see that we're opening up a bit more resources out there. We are seeing more of the non-LAC LSPs coming through, succeeding into becoming a DLSP. On the right-hand side there, what we're seeing is several more LSPs that are in the works or in the process right now of approvals to becoming a DLSP. So we have the TransCanada Utilities, CCS, Utility Marks, and several LSPs that are interested are just in early stages of conversations in becoming a DLSP with working with high-risk infrastructure owners and such. Okay, into our numbers here. Here's the numbers for the locate request coming through under the DL system. In the past month, what we've seen is a bit of a dip here. It is a typical dip that we would see at this time of the year. Obviously, as construction season winds down, the numbers of locates have gone down as well too from both public side, and that affects the dedicated locator side as well. And what we've seen as well too is that several telecom projects have scaled back in new builds and investments towards new builds for the remainder of the year. So that reflects heavily on the DL numbers you see trending at the moment, because obviously these telecoms are utilizing the DL model. So this is an interesting number here. This is the first time that we have pulled out these numbers. What you're seeing here are notifications that are being sent out to the public notifications as well too. So, so what that means is that a public notification per DL locate requests are still coming through, so that a certain portion of the DL request is still going to the public side, whether or not that is a member or two that still hasn't act upon the dedicated locator or dedicated locator project. And this is what those statistics are. What we want to see here is on the blue line there is last year's numbers. So this is a ratio once again of per locate request. These are the numbers of numbers that are still going into the public stream. On the white line here, what we are seeing here are numbers for this year, and you can see a large decrease on those public notifications. And what we're seeing on that one is that, as the year progressed from last year to now, where we're at right now with dedicated locator, we're seeing more and more members acting upon dedicated locators. So when projects are coming through, members are better prepared, have available mapping, and are able to work with the DLSPs. So therefore, we are able to suppress, your station codes from that point in, being removed from the public stream and being put into the dedicated locator stream. So with that case, what we're seeing here now are the numbers are steady at a ratio of 1.5 to 1, right? And this has the exclusion already of the one notification, obviously, to the DLSP, and also the exclusion of transmission infrastructures. Okay, by the numbers again, what we're looking at here are percentage of DL versus public locate requests. Hand in hand with the DL number of locate requests versus the public, we're seeing that seasonal dip. So right now we're seeing from 4% at a steady plateau of amount of total locate requests submitted through. That is the percentage coming through under the DL front. Once again, on the previous slides here with the seasonal dip and what we're seeing with the telecoms kind of winding down a bit and kind of scaling back on their project, we're seeing this take effect as well to the numbers between what we're seeing in public versus what we're seeing in dedicated locator. This one is it's pretty much the same as what we're seeing as project owners for dedicated locator requests. Even with the changes that have come through for the past few months, our front runners are remained the same, with the telecoms topping the list for that. So you can see Bell, Rogers, Telemax, all the telecoms that are still strong in the forefront using the DL. That takes effects to it. By the numbers again, we're looking at regions. This haven't really changed as well too. We can see the most affected works where we see dedicated locator come across, topping the area there of the Greater Toronto area there. So York, Toronto, Peel, those are most of where the works are. This is something interesting that we plucked out as well too. It's a heat map to covering Ontario to what we're seeing or where we're seeing dedicated locator requests coming through. This is a frequency of a heat map where we see the red are where most common locates are submitted, to blue where it's minimal impact and not much locates are being submitted, but it still shows up under dedicated locator for those areas. So you can see multiple pockets of areas where a lot and heavy activity of dedicated locator are occurring. You see that starting from London to covering to the GTA, and we're seeing a little bit more out west in the east side for Ottawa, and more centered into the York region as well too. So when it comes to the dedicated locator here, and what we're expecting here is when the dedicated locator program was first introduced within Bill 93 back in April, there was really no rolling enforce date. So as an industry, while we all work together to move forward with the new legal DL model and the legislative requirement that come along with it, we understand that there were many obstacles along the way, with many which we have discussed together in this forum. As we come close to the end of this year, we are now coming up 21 months in since the new DL model was introduced. So with that being said, Ontario One Call is currently going through a review with our compliance and legal counsel with our current processes and approach to members affected within the DL project. And there will be changes upcoming for 2024 that will be communicated in the coming months that will align and ensure that we are adhering to the intentions of the legislation. So I just want to point out several key items that we're looking forward to improvements for 2024. So number one here is topping off. Obviously, this is an ongoing discussion that we have with with members. It's a push for mapping and record improvements. We've been speaking of this in the past 18 months to today. So there is the opportunity. If you still don't have readily available mapping and records, then take this time, take this opportunity to work with the servicing DLSP that's coming and approaching you at this point in the area, where you can look to work hand in hand as locates are completed. Those locates completed, those paperwork, you can utilize those to improve your mapping and use that in some form of mapping and records, as they're getting located. So this is a great opportunity. Take this time now. If you don't have that set up right now, perhaps there's a DL projects coming along your way, being introduced along your way. Look to see how you can utilize that project to improve your mapping. Second thing what we're looking at here is, I briefly speak of this just now, is Tier 1 call. We're looking to refine our current DL process. So what does that look like? We will be reviewing the existing DL projects that we have on hand that will be continuing through 2024. We will be connecting with these project owners and DLSPs to assess the affected members within their project work area that have entered into an agreement to the DL, and those who hasn't as well too. So we'll be looking to send out notices to these members to open the communication back again with the project owner and DLSP. So if you have known DL projects that you have yet to provide approval, once again, take this time, start reviewing, start reviewing them, start looking at these projects, open those communication again, and see how you can better position yourself coming into 2024 before even coming to us providing that notice, of a project for that particular area that they'll be working in, right? So the third point here we're looking at is we're looking at tightening up our timelines. So what does that mean here? As per the game there, we do have certain timelines that is set forward for, under the legislation. So we're going through a review process with our compliance and legal counsel to ensure that, this process that we have on hand now and timeline adheres with the legislative requirements. And last but not least, we are still continuing with the DL web portal, continuous development of the DL web portal to provide all DL parties involved with visibilities, tools, and reporting through, through this DL web portal. So that is still in the works there. We're hoping to release that towards late 2024. So we are working diligent to that, and these are the top key items that we are concentrated on for 2024. But there are obviously several things as well too that we will be working on hand in hand to help us better here and get in line with the actual legal dedicated locator model. So on the previous month, last August, we had a guest speaker, Ron Laidman from Inertia Solution. This kind of goes back to what we're looking at for, what to expect 2024 and how do you readily prepare yourself as a member to ensure that you are adhering to the legislation, you're adhering to the dedicated locator model on hand. So just wanted to recap to his presentation previous month. What we're looking at here is that he provided a framework to become DL ready, to better prepare yourself as DL projects come through now and 2024, right? So here we can briefly do a recap. So the framework lays out 5 different ways to be DL ready. First thing first, we're looking at here is assess. Assess your current locate process, record mappings, documentation system. With your current setup right now, are you readily in compliant to receive a DL project request and provide your records, required records mapping, documentation and such to the DLSP to locate your infrastructure? This is the time to assess your mapping and records. Are they accurate and are they sufficient? Do you require improvements to your processes, trainings, and documentation? This all leads into being prepared. So the second framework that we're looking at is prepare. Now you have identified the gaps within your current process to stay in compliance with the new DL model, right? It's time to prepare. To make those improvements. We have seen many members succeed in this from then to now, establishing contract templates, onboarding packages for DLSP. Having all this prepared can better position yourself and adhere to the requirements set forth for the legislation. So the third one there, what we're looking at is engage. There are many ways as an infrastructure owner can identify upcoming projects. Project owners forecasted to work within your servicing region. There are preliminary planning phases to which municipalities and infrastructure owners within the proposed work area are notified before this project even gets issued for construction. So utilize those preliminary phases to get engaged early in the planning stages, right? You're getting these notices way ahead. They're asking for records prior to for them designing their work scope and whatnot. That should give you a sense that there is an upcoming large project coming into your municipalities or your servicing area. Find out who those project owners are. Find out the contractors working for that project. Once you're able to find that out, perhaps you can get more information whether or not those projects will be under dedicated locator. That should give you enough ample time to ensure that you're ready when that submission comes through by this project owner or when this project comes into construction phase, right? So the next thing we see there's obviously the transition, execution on plan mapping support, transitioning to the DLSP. Do you have training in place? Do you have your support and process in place to smoothly transition DLSP to safely locate your infrastructure? And last but not the least here is monitor. Just because the project will be utilizing DL, this does not preclude your involvement and engagement on the project. So there's things that such as data tracking for data damage prevention, project visibilities, escalation, transparency between all stakeholders involved in that DL project for this to all safely, work the way it should be in terms of the model where you have transparency between all parties as a project owner, as a member infrastructure owner, and the DLSP locating on your behalf. There's greater transparency, meaning there's better traction for safe digging with open transparency, right? So what we have here is the first two we have is highlighted there. So assess and prepare. With those two, it's proactive planning. This will contribute to your success as a stakeholders to be in compliance. And just as I speak on the previous slide here, having this to taking this time now. We are on our slower part of the season and the remainder of 2023. What are we expecting for 2024? Use this time, utilize this time, engage us. Our team is here readily available to go in conversation with you, to go in conversation with these DLSPs and project owners to ensure that you can successfully transition to the DL model with this DLSP or project owners on hand. Okay, with that on hand, I just want to open up the floor here now for, if should you have any questions or concerns or anything like that in terms of the presentation I provided just now, or just in general. This is your time if you want to lay that out.
Hi, Marco. Christine here. There is a question in the Q&A from Sherberger, Hydro One. Could the decrease in percentage volume be due to the project owners withdrawing from a project and thus not requesting locates?
Yeah, definitely. That, like I said, I mentioned here, there is a lot of what we've seen is telecom scaling back on their forecasted budgets for the remainder of the year in terms of new builds. So we have seen those telecoms have scaled back largely on those. So it does affect all across the board here, not just dedicated locator, but all across, all stakeholders involved in the utility locates, right? And that's the effect that we're seeing right now with the decline in the dip on the numbers.
There's a follow-up question from Cher as well. Is Ontario One Call made aware of project owners withdrawing from a project?
Can you repeat that again, Christine?
Is Ontario One Call made aware of project owners withdrawing from a project?
At the moment, not and the information that we have right now, we are in open communication with project owners. So there are some that we have seen that have set up dedicated locator for 2023, but are winding down earlier through the season. But we are in conversation with them, and there are the talks of proceeding under 2024. But as of the 2023, there are some projects that have, like I said, scaled back or have stopped already at this point. So therefore, submission of locates have gone down based on those projects and opting out and not calling in locates at all. Okay, those are all good question there from Cher. In terms of the previous or the following month coming up for the Q&A, just seeing if any feedbacks from you guys, if what you would like to see, what you want to discuss, maybe we can better prepare a different slide rather than an update that we may have for you on a monthly basis. Once again, this is not just a presentation from us directly. We want to try to get more engagement between the members itself, what you're seeing out there, even speaking to each other in terms of that. So, we are available for feedbacks. Our team is available here as well too, dl@ontarioonecall.ca. So if you need anything based on that, or you want to provide your feedback via email, just send that over to us as well. Okay, seems like we have a bit of a quiet crowd for this time around. So once again, I will end this Q&A now, but that just doesn't preclude if you have any, if you want to take any questions offline here, then you have our email information there. You can contact us directly. We'll be happy to get into a call with you or have these discussions. Also, we'll be open for those feedbacks for the coming month of Q&A and what you would like to see and discuss. We're hoping to get more involvements from maybe another co-presentator for the next coming months. So we may look into a member providing some information in terms of dedicated locator and how their approach are for dedicated locator and such. I believe that a different perspective of how to view or how to proceed with dedicated locator from a member's perspective will be beneficial for this group to see for. But aside from that, I'll give it about another minute or so. If there's no any further question, I want to thank everyone again for your time here, and I'll look forward to see you guys again for next month. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon.